where all things
really
preparation come together.
She's like, oh, that was really
under
good.
one
Like,
roof.
it's a lot easier
If
when
you're
you're not
worried
looking
about
at
what's
me and
happening in the
Shane's not in
world,
here.
worried about the power grid and how stable it is,
laughing. She's
or
like,
is it?
that's so true.
She's
PrepperCon
like,
is for
it's so
you.
true. Like,
There's
if
everything
I just
you
had
need
one
to
of you,
prepare for
it'd be
natural
so much easier
disasters,
than
economic
having both of
collapse,
you in here.
EMPs, cyber
We've also
attacks,
started
and
busting on
off-the-grid
each other.
Is this the same
living.
commercial
Take a
as that?
one-of-a-kind ride in a hurricane simulator with more than $15,000 worth of
They're all
prizes,
different.
including a $5,000
Where do you want to
geodesic
do this
dome,
one? Does your
food
business
storage, and personal defense giveaways. Get your discount tickets at PrepperCon.com. That's PrepperCon.com.
Let's do that after.
If you're concerned
After
about
the
the
break.
world we live in and where it's
We're gonna
going,
nail it
you
after
have to
last break.
be at PrepperCon.
I'll let you choose. Well, good morning, world, and welcome to PrepperCon Radio. I am your host, Scott Stallings, with co-host, as always, Mr. Shane, the prepared guy.
Yes, I am here.
Awesome stuff.
And I try and get into politics, and I tell you, it just doesn't ring true, man. I just have no passion for it. I mean, I try to stay involved, I try and stay educated, and make the right choices, but man, I don't have it. It's just not in me, I tell you.
Somehow last night, we were, it's caucus, well, yesterday was caucus day in Utah. Last night, we were at our precinct, and somehow I was nominated for president. No, not president, just kidding.
I'd run for president. I'd do it.
I was actually nominated for a county delegate. And the delegate day actually happens to land on April 16th, which is the only requirement that you have to fulfill for the whole year. I have to go to this
PrepperCon.
big long thing all day long, and so I had to decline down, so I'm an alternate, but I don't even know if that'll even work. But we need to get involved. More than anything, you just need to be aware of what's going on and make sure you're voting. Huge election time. Everyone just needs to get involved and understand what the issues really are. It was really fun to be involved last night and to go to the local caucuses. I hope you guys, listeners all over, you're taking place and taking part in that. Because things are wildly out of control. And the only way to fix that is for the people to start taking things back, to start standing up, to start doing. And with that, let's talk about PrepperCon. Why do we do PrepperCon Radio? Why do we do PrepperCon, the event? Well, it's very simple. When we create prepared and self-reliant individuals and families, that bleeds into the community. Because then we can create a prepared community. It takes just a handful of people to do something right to affect a larger population. The same goes in the opposite. Yeah. It just takes a handful of people. Just look at Brussels. A handful of people can cause that much distress, that much destruction, that many problems.
Well, I think when you learn to be self-reliant and depend on only yourself, it changes your view, it changes your outlook of the world and your representation. I mean, do you want to be a socialist state and not do anything for yourself, or do you want freedom and to do everything for yourself?
It's about liberty at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Liberty is the ability to make decisions for yourself. And that's what we've been founded on. That's what this country is so great for. And there are so many other countries that have followed that path. You know, are they perfect? No. Are we perfect? Absolutely not.
And that's why this planet exists. That's why we're here in mortality, and getting a little religious on you. But that is, we chose to come here, and the reason we are here is for choice. Choice is the reason. If that choice is taken away from us by whatever small means, which government as is, has taken away a huge chunk of our ability to choose for ourselves.
And I think it's more than just government. I think a lot of times people forget about choice and consequence.
Yeah, we give it away.
We're always responsible to adhere to the consequences of our choices.
Yeah.
You know, if you choose to buy a Dodge Dart, now you're going to have to drive a Dodge Dart. You know, some people love it, some people hate it. If you choose to go to Mozambique and pick up an assault rifle and do something stupid, you're going to have to be held accountable for those decisions. You know, if you choose, I mean, there's so many things. If you choose, you're accountable. There's a lot of people in politics that are saying, well, you shouldn't have to be accountable.
Yeah.
Bull crap. That's just part of life. You are accountable.
That's right.
If you choose to be more self-reliant, guess what? The blessing of that is, it's that you're less reliant on the grid. You're less reliant on the government. You're less reliant on someone else having to come save your butt when crap happens. If you lose your job, you're less reliant on someone else helping you. You've got money, you've got cash set aside, you've got food set aside, you've got skills. You can get through that trial.
And if you give away your self-reliance, you're just asking for more fear. There's more fear in your life, and so you want someone else to take care of you. If you're self-reliant, you really, I wouldn't say you have nothing to fear, but as has been said before, I prefer dangerous freedom to, I don't know, I forget the quote now, but I'd rather not be enslaved.
Good.
Yeah, it started out right. I need to brush up on my quotes. But I'd much rather have freedom and have to defend myself with by my own means than give away my freedoms for someone else to protect me.
Absolutely. And I think also we forget is one of the biggest freedom takers is debt.
Yep.
Consumer debt. You guys, if you're listening to this and you've got massive amounts of credit card debt, you're doing it wrong. We need to get rid of that debt because we're enslaved to whoever holds that debt over our heads.
Absolutely. Get out of the system. I have so many friends and acquaintances and so forth that basically they have no cash in their pocket. They think it's crazy when people don't have a bank account. I would love to not have a bank account, but I got to be able to pay the mortgage. I gotta send money electronically. So it's a necessary evil if you ask me. But I understand why someone wouldn't want to have a bank account, and I would prefer to live that way.
It'd be a lot easier
but
if you could get to that point.
There are many people out there that they just don't understand. Why wouldn't you have a bank account? You need to get out of the system. You need to get your cash out of the bank, except for what you need to live on. Turn those U.S. dollars, that currency, into real money. But we're way off our topic for today.
No, that's okay though, because when you free flow, and that's what you get.
Yeah,
folks, we enjoy your participation in this. If you think we're crazy, call in, let us know. If you think we're awesome, call in, let us know. If you have opinions on how to be a better prepared person, whether you want to call yourself a prepper or not, join the conversation. The number here is 801-254-5855. We're going to start talking today about active shooter situations, terror situations. We want to talk about what you can do to better prepare for those and what you can do during those situations, how to get out of that situation, how to de-escalate that situation. There's a lot of different schools for thought out there. We're going to talk about the absolute bare bones basics because really when the crap hits the fan, you're not going to be thinking of the most elaborate way to do something. You're wanting the quickest, most effective solution, always. If you start wasting time trying to figure out some new action plan in the moment, it's too late.
And that's the key in the moment. You need to make your decisions beforehand, come up with your plan now, and so forth. And obviously what's inspired us to talk about this is pretty obvious, the recent events over in Belgium. But, and I think that, there's a lot of fear out there, and preparedness dispels fear. Even having a simple plan, okay, if this happens, we're going to this place. If this happens, this is our plan. This is what we're going to do. That provides a lot of comfort.
Exactly. Right before this happened, my wife actually went out of town this last weekend, and she went to Florida. I don't even know where that came from. She went to California to visit family, and it was interesting. Before she left, she was like, "I'm worried something might happen." And I'm like, "Don't be. We're good." She's like, "Well, what if I'm out there and something happens?" And I'm like, "I'll come get you." I'm like, you know where to go. Mm-hmm. We have a rally point for every vacation.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
We have friends in California with multiple stopovers, I guess you could say, from there to here. And I was like, you go to this stopover and you stay there till I get you. I'm like, if I have to steal motorcycles, I'll do it if the crap really hits the fan. But I know I'll be able to drive my truck down there and be okay. Thankfully, nothing happened. But that conversation alleviated her fears because she knew, oh yeah, we've got a plan for this. Here's what we
Perfect.
do.
Yeah, that's great.
That's the same thing for anytime we go on a vacation together or anytime we go, well, for example, next Monday I'm driving down to St. George. You know, I'm taking our world-class hurricane simulator
Cool.
down to St. George.
Right. I was going to ask you, that showed up. I guess you're taking.
We finally got that, so I'm super excited. The thing can knock over a 2,000-pound cow, and that's not even on full blast. It's legit winds. I mean, we're talking 180 miles an hour. We'll tone it down when you get in the simulator. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Did you kick it up and test out your new house? See if
No, we did not test it out on the new house. My house probably would not
You
stand up.
don't have the hurricane windows installed yet, huh?
My neighbor told me to open all the windows and turn the fan on in the front door, and I'm like, yeah, no. It's huge. It's about, on the trailer, it looks like it's about 10 feet tall, and it's a fun disaster waiting to happen, you know, literally, because we can just turn it on when you want it, when you're ready. But we're going to have a lot of fun with that. But today's topic is, let's talk about how are we preparing for those crazy scenarios. We got a caller right now on line 3. Let's bring a caller on. Hey, caller, you're on K-Talk. What have you got for us today?
It's a question that drives me nuts. It just absolutely makes me go berserk.
Good morning,
That's
Elaine.
my question.
Okay, Elaine, what's your question?
Okay. They say it has nothing to do with religion when you vote, right?
Okay.
Okay. Well, listening to Utah, that's about who we doing. Now, I'm a Catholic, and the rest, that word Mormon comes up all the time. Well, I thought that he was a good Mormon. And then, on the other hand, they're saying religion don't matter. So I'm confused, so straighten me out. Because you know what? I think, this is here what I think. The only perfect person you're going to get is Jesus Christ if it comes down to the earth and you can vote for.
Amen.
Because it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat, a Republican, a Libertarian, as far as I'm concerned, they're all a bunch of lying dogs.
Yeah.
Well, any career politician is a lying SOB anyways, and you and I both agree on that. Career politicians don't understand what the Constitution was founded on. It was limited terms of service. Service being the key word.
Yeah, and you know, the Constitution says a lot of things, but it's still not written in stone. You know what? Everybody needs to go to the Freedom Park. You ever been to the Freedom Park?
I don't think so. Where's the Freedom Park?
It's in Pennsylvania.
Oh,
When you walk
okay.
through the Freedom Park, it tells you about all the people from the beginning to where we are, probably not today, but somewhere in the middle, of all the founding fathers.
Yeah.
yeah, actually I have been there. I was thinking there was something here in Utah that you were talking about. I was like, wait a minute.
No,
There's-
yeah. You know,
Definitely not here in
I'm
Utah.
sorry.
No, I gotcha.
Yeah, I'm from the old school. And when I vote for somebody, guess what? I vote my conscience.
Yep.
And that's like God. Now that's where your God-given right comes in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
So
just
I
like
do want to vote.
yeah,
And
just
this
like I
person
was.
called names. Oh, they're a liberal. Oh, they're probably blah blah blah. On and on and on they go with their blowhard.
Well, you know, it's funny because
This is America, and you can vote for who you want. What?
it's so true. We have to make our decisions based on our conscience. We have to do what's right for us.
Good. That's right.
Um,
And hopefully when you go to the ballot box, you look over everybody and you vote your conscience.
And you do your
Now, I
homework.
admit it. I'm not ashamed of what I did. I voted for Obama. Oh, I got called a traitor. I must be a liberal. Blah, 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 blah. But you know what? It don't bother me. Because I made a bad choice and I admit it. But I voted my
Stand
conscience.
up to yeah.
Absolutely.
And I don't have to answer to anybody. How's that?
Well, you're doing the right thing by standing up for what you believe in. I think more people need to do that. Even if it's making a mistake, you have to stand up for what you believe in.
And that's your God-given right.
That's
Awesome.
So all this religion, hooey-dooey, I call it, use that word, hooey-dooey.
I need to use that more often.
Hooey-dooey. Okay, hooey-dooey.
Well, thanks
Awesome.
for calling in, Elaine. It's absolutely a good point. I think
At the end of the day, we are voting with good people. We voted, and we probably didn't vote for who other people think that we should have, but that's still your God-given right.
Absolutely. Hey, thank you so much for your call.
yeah, and that's absolutely my
Sorry for
advice.
my rant.
Thank
No, you're good. Call again.
And that's absolutely my advice as well. Just do the best you can. I mean,
Absolutely.
That's really it's your choice. It's up to you and no one else. And do the best you can.
Well, we're actually running into the commercial break here in a second. But going back to topic, it's all about preparedness. It's all about getting yourself ready for the unknown. You've got to do your homework. You've got to pay attention, both politically, but also situationally. Be situationally aware.
And that's the first thing we're going to talk about when we come back is situational awareness.
Absolutely. We'll be right back. You're listening to K-Talk Radio on AM 630.
And welcome back to the PrepperCon Radio Hour. Does your business serve the emergency preparedness and survival community? If so, you guys need to be at PrepperCon this year, April 15th and 16th. Last year we had more than 11,000 in attendance. This year we expect quite a bit more. So if you're looking for survival and emergency preparedness goods, you guys really need to be there, and the classes are going to be amazing. So you can call 385-282-6686 to get signed up as an exhibitor, and go to PrepperCon.com to get your tickets. You can also sign up to be an exhibitor there as well. You really need to come and be part of the biggest and best emergency preparedness and survival expo in the nation. So that is April 15th and 16th, and we would love you. You're going to love being there.
Absolutely. The fun thing about PrepperCon, well, everything's fun about PrepperCon. The cool thing about PrepperCon is we've got the coolest classes. We've got first-person shooter classes. We've got active shooter classes. We've got, and when I say first-person, I'm not talking video games. I'm talking simulations. You can actually learn how to be a better shooter with the training that we're going to have there. We've got Shoot House, so you can actually learn how to sweep your own home. Well, this simulated home, and that's going to be sponsored by ReadyMan. We've got a hurricane simulator, so you can feel what actual destructive forces feel like. We're not in a hurricane scenario geographically. It's just not going to happen in Utah. We can have tornadoes. We can have, rarely we can have tornadoes, but we can have them. It's good to know kind of what you're up against, and it's fun to do it in a safer environment, so that we've got that. We've got a food storage cook-off. Who else does that? I've never heard of anybody doing it. We've got the only modest fashion show. It's called Prepper Fash. All things tactical, practical, and goofy. We've got, last year we had a
that was fun.
Mylar prom dress, we had duct tape dresses, we had the
Ghillie
fun stuff,
suit.
but then we had ghillie suits, we had full-on tactical
Body
gear,
armor.
body armor, bulletproof backpacks, some cool first aid, just everything. But then we've got classes on, EMPs, classes on first aid, classes on canning, classes to help you get started. If you don't know what you're doing in preparedness, come to PrepperCon. Most of the classes are free. There's a few that are upgrades, like our CCW course, which is your weapons permit to carry concealed weapons in Utah. And I think we've got reciprocity with 36 other states. I'd have to double check that number because it fluctuates.
It changes.
But you can get the entire process done there, and then you've got your paperwork to take into the state and get your license. In addition, we've got Kyle Bell, Ben Bell from Mountain Men off History Channel. We've got one of the most popular doomsday preppers.
I was going to say, can you announce him yet?
Tim Ralston.
Very cool.
Dude, he's one of my good friends. I freaking love this guy. He's an inventor more than anything, and he's invented, you've probably seen this tool, the Crovel. It's a crowbar shovel with a hatchet blade and a saw blade.
Good design tool.
Yeah, it's a sweet zombie tool, also a great self-defense tool, but I think one of the most overlooked tools you need is a good crowbar, and this has that. So anything that can be multi-purpose tools, great. So he'll be there. He's showcasing his new bug-out vehicle. We've got new products that are going to be showcased from a lot of different companies. They're waiting till PrepperCon to show these things off, to announce them, to unveil them. So you need to be there. You can get your tickets online, PrepperCon.com. If you click on the special offers page, you can get our Ultimate Survival Card. It's a credit card with 22 tools. And ReadyMan helped us build that. It's pretty awesome.
I was toying around with that this weekend.
A lot of fun?
Yep.
Absolutely. So check that out. PrepperCon.com, April 15th and 16th at the Southtown Expo. Now let's get back to our topic at hand, which is also going to be covered more in depth at PrepperCon. But we want to talk about terror situations and active shooter situations. The basics. Here's how you need to put together your plan of action now. Notice I say now, when you're safe, when you're out of harm's way. Put together a plan and practice it. Get used to it. Repeat it. Train your whole family on it. This is what you need to be doing. And number one is, first and foremost, situational awareness.
Yeah, I think that really comes into play. Obviously, if there's some type of event and you're at home, okay, yeah, there's not much more you need to do than just have your supplies and account for your family and so forth, and make sure they get back to your home base. But what if you're out and about, and what if you're traveling, like at the airport or to California or whatever? Situational awareness, it takes a lot of practice. And what does situational awareness really mean? And I think, first of all, it's the right word that I really like is vigilant. Stay vigilant. It's like when you're at the swimming pool with your kids, and you've got some young kids that don't know how to swim, or they don't know how to swim very well. What do? Your eyes are constantly, at least this is me anyway. I'm not one of those parents that says, okay, I have to go throw your kids in the swimming pool and learn how to swim. No, I've got my eyes on them, and my eyes don't move from them until, as long as I know that they're safe. The next thing is to look for things that are out of place. One thing that I practice this pretty much wherever I go. I go to Walmart. I go grocery shopping, and and like I say, this takes practice. And so as you're out and about, try and notice people who maybe look out of place.
I think there's one step we need to address before that.
Yeah.
Anytime you enter a building, the first thing you should do is identify where the exits are.
That was next on my list.
First, know where your exits are. Then, start identifying any possible threats.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of situational awareness. So it's check, where am I? Where am I going? What are my safe spots? But also look for barricade or blocking devices. And make sure you're paying attention to who's around you. Because like Shane was saying, there are people that will definitely look out of place. You may have to do a little profiling, but if someone looks unusually irate, you don't have to profile for that one. Just keep an eye on it.
Yeah, avoid it. And I think even before this, we maybe jumped the gun a little bit, is depending on where you go, where you're going, where you're traveling. Your first step should be to first determine what is it that can happen wherever you're going. If you happen to be going to France, you obviously know what you need to prepare for, what you need to be thinking
That's
about.
actually a really big
If you are just traveling to
We're actually
California,
talking
those
about
are going to
active
be
shooters right now. Do you have
much
any,
different
active shooters or terrorist training
possibilities
stuff?
going to there or going to the grocery store. So first, determine what are the things that can happen. Is it an active shooter that could possibly happen?
You're
Is
so
it
awesome.
bombing? Is it something simple like that? So first determine what can happen, and then you can make your plans according to that. And then just as Scott was saying, is make a plan, and when you're making your plan, look for your exits. I personally like to use back doors, and I teach my kids this, to use back doors and to use rabbit trails,
Well, hang on.
how to lose tails and so forth. So I like to take back doors and the less
if you've got
traveled
for us later, give us a call back.
entries, exits, so forth, to wherever I'm going, whether it's grocery store or whatever.
Awesome.
So say for example at Walmart, if I like to go in like the tire entrance or the garden entrance rather than the main entrance, because I'm avoiding more people. And personally, I don't like to be around a lot of people. It can be difficult.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mike.
So that's one of my first steps is I like back doors.
I think back doors, side doors, those make a lot of sense. Some places, like when you walk into a restaurant, there's not always a lot of options. But fire exits, emergency exits are one of the most often overlooked escape methods in a shooter scenario. Other than a fire, that's one of the people just don't think about it. I don't understand. There's an exit. Go out that one. Everyone's rushing for the front door.
Yeah. Who cares if an alarm goes off? Take it.
Yeah. If there's a problem, get out. And that's actually, if you look at the Department of Homeland Security, their first thing they talk about if you encounter a scenario is flee.
Is run. Yeah.
It's run. It's escape. A lot of people will think, oh, I'll take out the shooter. Well, if the shooter has a semi-automatic or an automatic, and you have a 9mm and you're 100 yards away, you are not going to get to him to do anything.
Time to make any difference. Yeah.
But you can get your family out of the scenario if you can get to the closest exit, or take the next smart precaution. But definitely look for an exit as you enter every building. That's the first thing you should be doing, and then start scanning. Keep your eyes open. If you're in a restaurant, sit in a position where you can see the doors, especially the main door where everyone's coming in and out. If you can see the kitchen door, that's also even better, because if someone's planning this out, they've taken months and months typically to plan out their attack. They know exactly where they're going, where they're entering from, where they're exiting, what their strategies are, and they're not going to just walk right in through the front door typically with all the guns ablazing. They're going to walk in, get to where they want to be, and then start doing things that are bad.
Yeah, and I think just being aware, get your heads out of your smart devices. Look up, be talking with your family, whoever you're sitting with. Like you say, if we're at a restaurant or wherever, be accountable to where everybody is at in relationship to where you are, and just keep another saying is keep your head on a swivel.
Absolutely.
Keep your eyes open and don't be paranoid. Maybe this kind of sounds like, okay, I'm going out in the public, I'm completely paranoid. No, it just means being aware of your surroundings. And
don't be afraid to leave your belongings behind. So many people forget that, and they panic. Oh, my wallet,
I gotta get this or that.
Who cares? You can get a new driver's license. You can get new credit cards. You can replace that cash. You cannot replace yourself. You are irreplaceable. Your family is irreplaceable. Get out if you can. If you cannot get out, your next step is to hide out or to barricade. Find a safe place and get there until you can either A, respond, A, escape. If the situation changes and you now have a clear exit path, take it. B, respond, or C, just shelter there. Stay there if you need to. So I think a lot of times, a lot of people forget, okay, hide out. Where can I hide out? When you're walking into a building, start looking for places that are a little more secure.
And a lot of people are going to freeze up, and their first instinct is going to be to just shelter in place or to hide, but that's not always the first best choice. First best choice is to get out of the situation.
Absolutely. Always, always, always first escape. Second, hide out.
Yep.
Sometimes this means, barricading a door. If you're in a classroom, barricade the door so nobody can get in there. You can use a belt. So most schools, they've got those automatic door closers that are up above. You can actually wrap a belt around those arms, and that'll keep it from opening up. You're actually creating a lock for that door. Put other things up against the door. And this is if it opens out. Because if it opens in, you can put everything in front of the door to stop them. If it opens out, you can put everything in front of the door on the inside. This can still open the door and shoot through whatever you've got blocking it. But the more barricades you can create, the better.
Absolutely. And so making a plan is extremely important, and that everyone in your family, everyone in your group knows the plan and knows exactly what to do if there is some kind of emergency. And then not only looking for exits, but then further planning beyond that to an evacuation route. Say, if we look at 9/11, and if we were tourists in downtown Manhattan, and we didn't have a plan, okay, where are we going to meet up? What's the plan to get back to our vehicle? And what supplies and such do we have in our vehicle that are going to allow us to get further away from the situation?
Absolutely. Just like when we started this discussion, we talked about my wife being in California, where she was going to go if something happened, where we were going to go meet. We had the same plan for house fires. Obviously, we're not going to meet in California. We're going to meet outside at our pre-designated location. If there's a power outage, we have a plan for that. We put together plans for all the different scenarios that we're going to encounter, and then we review those and we practice those so that if something happens, we're not caught completely unprepared and caught in a situation where we cannot respond. If you fall into that scenario where you don't know what to do, take the time and get prepared. You will thank us later. Take some time right now, and I want you to write down if there's an active shooter situation in Salt Lake, if there's a terrorist attack in Salt Lake. Think about where you're working. Think about where your family's going to be. Let's just say it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I want you to be able to identify right away where everyone is typically going to be at that time of day. I want you to do the same thing for 11 o'clock. I want you to do the same thing for a Saturday afternoon, 1 o'clock. The reason I'm saying that is because most situations happen when the population is at its densest. So if you can avoid shopping during the densest time of the day, Saturday morning, everyone's out shopping, that's prime time. right? I love to do my shopping in the evenings
Yep.
when there's less people there, like after 7 o'clock. Because if you're like me and you hate 15 people in line at the grocery store, it's just, I can't handle that.
Yeah, I agree.
So find alternate solutions, but know where everyone is. So first, know where everyone is. Second, from there, where is everyone going to meet? And I want you to consider if everyone's on foot. If you can't get to your cars, where would you all meet? Where's the safe place? Because if you don't have a rally point and you can't find one of your kids, you're going to be freaking out for a long time until you find that kid.
You know, what I wanted to get to in our final segment is to talk about, I guess, gear and everyday carry stuff, but talking about your feet, that to me is a very important topic. If you have to get away from danger quickly and you're wearing high heels or if you're wearing flip-flops, can you sprint in those or take your high heels off and sprint away from danger? So for me, footwear is a very important aspect of my everyday carry of my EDC gear. What kind of shoes do you wear? Are they appropriate to run in? Can you change your footwear that works for your professional environment, whether you're sitting in an office all day or whether you're stocking shelves or whatever?
Absolutely. I think it's something that we usually forget. When I worked in the office scenario, office environment, I loved that there were so many women that I worked with that had a second pair of shoes at their desk. But the problem is if something happens, are they going to be responsive enough to switch their shoes?
Or clear-minded enough to be able to say, oh, I got to grab my shoes because there's broken glass or whatever.
Exactly.
And I'm not going to be able to take these crappy shoes on that look nice but don't feel good.
Exactly. So don't fall victim to fashion just to look pretty. Make sure that you're able to do what you need to do in times of emergency. You know, I carry a second set of shoes in my car, but I always have. Guys are lucky. We don't have to worry about high heels. For some reason, fashion doesn't seem to matter as much to us guys. We just...
If it works.
Yeah, we're just... Our wives and loved ones tell us, make sure we've got our pants on when we leave the house, and we're pretty much good to go.
Oh, you're zipped up. That's good.
You're zipped up. Get out of here. Okay. But make sure that what you're wearing, you can get through something to get on to the next phase. Whether it's, middle of winter and you're wearing only shorts and a t-shirt, that's not going to get you through it. So you need to make sure you've got gear with you. And that's what we're going to talk about in the next segment. We're going to talk about what you can carry with you reasonably to be better prepared for these scenarios. We'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors. Hang in there, guys. Wow, we've got some weird music for this show.
That's good stuff. You kidding me?
We got an awesome call during the break. I want to bring Peter on. Peter, are you there? Can you hear us?
Oh, turn him up.
I forgot to turn you up. Are you there?
Yeah.
Awesome. So, Peter, let's go ahead and have you ask your question again. I think it's really pertinent, not just to what we're talking about, but in general for preparedness. Go for it.
Yes, related to preparedness in general, including this, but what would be the best program or the best planning for somebody who's handicapped or somebody without sight and the best way to get their situation awareness and what's the best grouping and for any situation, disaster, including this, and what's the best survival, particularly for long term, and what about here and that, and is there a way to put on a plan where we're focused on the handicap and vision handicap and them, and what do we do for survival to get?
I think those are some great questions. Appreciate your call. I think the number one thing is really there's safety in numbers. When you're living alone, there's a challenge inherently just with that, whether you're fully capable or whether you've got a handicap. But having a group to be able to communicate with, having a backup communication plan, I think is one of the most important things. If something does happen, you've got other people who you're watching their back and they're watching yours. So if you're alone and something happens, someone's going to come check on you. Or you've got a rally point to meet them with. Doesn't have to be, so when we talk a lot about family, know where your loved ones are, but also community. Know who's your group for emergency response. Who are you going to meet up with? have that clearly identified, clearly outlined, and have everybody have a copy so you all know here's where we're going and what we need to do. I think that's the first and foremost thing, is you need to have a plan in place. And it's really not different from anybody else's plan.
It's just modified for your needs.
Yeah, everyone's going to take the same basic plan and then tweak it for their basic needs. I think that's your first thing. The second thing is to start with the basics. Start with getting some extra water. So if you have to shelter in place and stay where you are for an extended period of time, that you can do that reasonably. And get sanitation supplies. Also get extra food. If you've got at least a 3-week pantry to start, you're going to be okay to get through just most everything.
Yeah, I think Scott has a really great point, is that a lot of times I just kind of count on myself. I think, okay, I'm the one that has to be prepared. Whereas if we have a community, whether it be family or neighborhood or what have you, we need to work together and come up with a plan together to take care of each other, because that's really where true survival is going to come down to. It's when we've said it many times here, and I'm just going to repeat it, is to be the lone wolf is extremely difficult. It's harder to exist by yourself, to survive by yourself, than it is with your group or community. So I think it's a fantastic point.
Well, I think that actually brings me, Peter, to another point, is at PrepperCon this April, we're going to have classes on all these topics, from the beginning of prepping all the way to the advanced, doomsday scenarios. We've got classes on just about everything, so make sure you make your way there. We've got, most of the classes are free, and we've got experts in those fields that are coming, and that's why we're doing this, is to help people of every walk, of every situation, to be able to put together their plan and feel more comfortable, it's not even comfortable, and confident with their situation.
There we go.
So make sure you can get out there. We've got discount tickets online. Go ahead and check those out. But if anything, use it as a networking opportunity. If you don't have friends that are into preparedness or that are putting together plans, come make some new friends.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be unveiling an app for the prepper community, which is a forum/community. It's separate from social media. It's preppers only. It's where you can learn about preparedness, but also where you can find people to connect with,
Mm-hmm.
so that you can have those resource groups, so that you know who else you can count on, and they know that they can count on you for knowledge, for assistance, for camaraderie. And that's really what all of this is about, is helping people be more prepared and in strengthening those communities. Have we answered your questions for the most part?
I think so, for the most part.
Okay.
Try to get to an accessible way to get to the internet. I don't have that yet, and I'm trying to get it, but I'd have I'm not employed, and I'm trying to get employed, and so I don't have a high income yet.
Well, I'm proud of you for working on that. I think
My computer stuff has to be able to speak. And that
Gotcha.
makes it so it's even less cheap.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
Well, look to your community. Look to those around you. There
Yeah.
will be plenty that would love to help.
Definitely stay in touch with us. Shoot me an email when you get a chance, or at info@preppercon.com, and let's see if we can work something out for you. Let me
Absolutely.
get you some tickets for PrepperCon.
That'd be great.
yeah, if I can get some assistance to get on and do it with me.
Okay.
So I
Absolutely.
don't know how to do that yet.
Will you find someone to help you get online, and I'll get you tickets to PrepperCon? Sound like a deal?
I'll see what I can do.
All right. Thanks, Peter.
Thanks a lot.
I love callers like Peter. That he's doing everything he can to improve his situation. And I'm going to reward him for that. I'm going to see if I can get back in touch with him later. But the big thing is we need to be planning. We need to be aware, and that's when you start thinking, okay, first, if I'm in an active shooter situation, or if there is a terrorist situation locally, what happens? Where do I go? What do I do? It all starts right now. It's the planning. It's the preparation. That's going to, let me segue into gear.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we talked a little bit about shoes. We talked a little bit about extra clothing. Those are vital. Always carry your everyday carry items. That doesn't mean you have to have them on your person, but they need to be within proximity. Meaning,
You know, I agree with that. And there are obviously a few things you need to have on your person, which
Yep.
which you can reasonably carry, not necessarily through an airport.
exactly.
That's a bad thing. But yeah, I think shoes are very important. Obviously, you've got to get yourself out of a situation. You need to have good footwear to do that. Second of all, obviously, have your bug out bag, have your bug home bag, whatever you want to call it, your go bag. Have that ready in your vehicle.
For those non-prepper normalcies, it's like your 72-hour kit, but it's designed to get you to a destination. Or some people call it a get-home bag.
Yeah, very kind of specific.
It's highly specific. It's really designed for 24 to 48 hours to get you to your destination. If I'm in Ogden and something happens and all of a sudden I can't drive home, I'm going to be walking to Boundary.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so you need to think of those things. That's why shoes is so important. That's why extra water is so important. You know, the necessities to get you to your rally point. That's what we're talking about for that bag.
Absolutely. And, you know, we've talked about EDC all the time here, and I'll just touch on a few things real quickly. Of course, one thing I think is very important, and we find, if we look back at the recent attacks, if you're in the subway, if you're in a place that's dark, and there's an attack, you lose power, do you have a flashlight?
Absolutely.
And it's on your person where you can get to it. And it doesn't have to be, I mean, a nice bright one would be ideal. A nice 200 plus lumen, what you may call a tactical flashlight, would be ideal. But even if you have something on your keychain, which a lot of people do, just have a small...
Almost everyone has a cell phone. Your cell phone has a light
There
on
you go.
it. Turn the freaking light on.
But your battery has to be charged too. But yeah, be aware that you've got
Keep things
a
charged.
light right there on your phone. Of course, you know, a pocket knife for me is always very important, and of course your personal defense weapon, whatever that may be, handgun, whatever. We won't get into that.
I
But-
carry around a cannon.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Strap that on your back.
Old World War II. No, I'm just kidding.
Minigun.
Minigun. Make sure you've got some self-defense training as well. I think what we often forget about is what we can carry in our mind. Our mind is the most powerful tool we have. And if you have skills, if you have knowledge, if you know how to do certain things that most people don't, you're going to be able to get through just about any situation better than the next guy. And you'll be a very valuable resource to other people to be able to provide assistance, provide aid, and to help the community. So make sure you're packing knowledge.
Absolutely.
First aid.
Yep, I was going to get to that.
If you don't have a first aid kit on your person, which is fine, you can have a couple band-aids here and there, know what you can do to create a makeshift bandage. Also know where the first aid kits are where you are.
That's true.
You know, there's usually a first aid kit at every security station in the mall. Every kiosk, information kiosk, is going to have a first aid kit.
Or in the back,
In the
their
back.
employee area and so forth.
Yeah.
But I think more specifically, if we're looking at the recent events, Band-Aids are not going to cut it.
Nope.
Band-Aids are nice for conveniences, your kid gets a cut or whatever. But you need to have a trauma kit. And a trauma kit is usually equipped with items that will sustain a life in a very traumatic injury, like an amputation or a gunshot wound or
So large bandages.
something that threatens your ABCs.
Tourniquets. Tourniquets are probably one of the best things you
Yeah.
can put. My favorite is a rat's tourniquet.
Absolutely.
You can check those out at readymanstore.com. Or I think My Medic carries them now. But rats tourniquets, designed by Special Forces guys, you can actually apply the tourniquet one-handed.
Yourself. Very quick.
And it's imperative that you have these types of tools handy.
And you know how to use it, and you have to be practiced at it, especially when it comes down to a stressful situation. You're not going to, and if you have to apply it on yourself.
Absolutely. That's why we keep talking and stressing about planning, and not just planning, practicing. Practice, practice, practice. Practice does not make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. Know how to do things. Try them right-handed if you're right-handed, and then try them left-handed if you're right-handed. And if you're left-handed, go opposite. Learn your dominant hand, then learn your non-dominant hand. What if your dominant hand is the one that's injured and you can't do anything? You know, what if you have other limitations? Try to find ways to work around it. That's the key. The key to survival is adaptation. Practicing these skills, working with these different techniques, working with the tools will only get you so far. It's becoming proficient with them. That's when you're in the sweet spot.
Yeah, absolutely. A few other things that I would recommend to have in, say, call it trauma kit, call it your everyday carry bag, which I personally would prefer to have right on my shoulders. It doesn't have to be big. but there are a few really essential things that I would have in that, especially for an event like we saw yesterday. First of all, of course, tourniquets, and more than one. Here's something that's very easy to carry in your purses, the respirators. Not necessarily a respirator, but the N95 masks.
Yeah.
Respirators are obviously a little bit different, but also know that there's N100 masks, there's P100s, that it has to do with particulates. But at least have something minimal to cover your face with, whether it be for some type of a chemical or a pandemic issue, or it would just be debris. Exactly, dust and debris.
You know, a lot of people who survived 9/11, some of them died due to cancer caused by the debris.
Exactly.
We need to have situational awareness enough to have those things in our kits. If we don't have them in our kits, what are other alternate solutions?
Mm-hmm.
You can rip your sleeve off and wrap it around your face.
Yep. T-shirt
sleeve is actually pretty good. It ends up being about an N50.
Yeah, it's not as good, but
it's a start. It's better than nothing.
But also keep in mind that if you have these supplies with you, not only can you get yourself and your family out safely, but you can render aid. If there is dust in the air and you have to get yourself out because you can't breathe, how are you going to be able to help others who need to be pulled out of that situation? If you have a N95 mask, if you have a respirator of some kind, it makes a big difference.
And if you're bearded like myself, most respirators don't work for you. Just so you know, if you get hit with mustard gas, you're going to get hit with mustard gas. You can put your mask on all day long, but our beautiful beards...
It's going to get through.
It's going to get through, and that's why if you look back at World War II, look at all the photos. Nobody had a beard for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
They were very aware of what could happen. So
you're saying I should bring a razor with me?
I got to start sharpening my knife to a razor fine edge so I can just shave it
real quick there.
We're running out of time. I want to thank you guys for being part of PrepperCon Radio. Tune in, stay tuned. We've got Liberty Lineup next. Always fantastic, always politically charged with cool information. I believe it's Liberty Moms today. Stay tuned. You're listening to K-TalkRadio. Thanks for hanging in there.
We all need a safe place to retreat to sometimes, whether you're planning to bug out for the apocalypse or want a quiet place to relax and get away to. UtahSafeHaven.com is your solution, founded by preppers for preppers. They have the best properties for sale, ranging from small campsites to 50 acres or more. Pricing starts at just $19.9.